Today, we'll be diving into the legacy and world of Tortoise. The group was conceived in Chicago, Illinois in 1990 and remained active through the present time at the recording of this video in April 2025. Tortoise is critically considered as one of the most deeply influential and tonally distinct music groups of the last 40 years, with a wide-reaching impact on and amid the contemporary independent American music scene. The band was originally formed by bassist Douglas McCombs, alongside Dan Bitney, John Herndon, and John McEntire. Early iterations of the group through the first few recordings also featured Bundy K. Brown and David Pajo, who was later replaced by the guitarist Jeff Parker. Other groups related to Tortoise through its quintet of members include 11th Dream Day, The Poster Children, The Sea and Cake, Brokeback, Pullman, Slint, Isotope 217, Broken Social Scene, Papa M, Bastro, Gastro del Sol, Black Duck, and the Chicago Underground Duo, among others. The media outlet Pitchfork says of the group, "Tortoise floats free, a planchette moving over a Ouija board guided by 10 sets of fingers, where everyone watches the arrow float in one direction, but no one is quite sure how it gets there or who is doing the pushing." As Tortoise rose to prominence in their early career, their brand of instrumental music had been noted for its ambiguous categorization, the members all having roots in Chicago's fertile music scene, playing in various indie rock and punk rock groups. Tortoise was among the first American indie bands to incorporate styles closer to krautrock, dub, minimalism, and electronica, rather than the strong rock and roll roots that had dominated the genre in the 90s. Elements in the music vacillate stylistically between progressive rock, deep electronica, and assemblages of jazz, all the while venturing at times into cinematic motifs of surf and desert rock of the open American Southwest. Tortoise has also been cited as one of the prime forces behind the development and popularity of the post-rock movement. Their aesthetic and vision also at times aligns and nods to an almost punk ethos in their overt disregard for any pandering to trend or zeitgeist. Their sound is wholly unique, blending the core around heavy rhythmic elements like marimba and vibraphone. The group also invokes 2 drummers playing simultaneously from time to time. These cornerstones are always woven with threads of bass, guitar, and an assemblage of synthesizers, drum machines, and samplers. For myself, Tortoise is the music that essentially broke open my own musical brain. In the 80s and early 90s, I was raised on folk classic rock, with some tinges of new age mixed in from my parents. I found my own place as a young record collector and music lover through hair metal, thrash metal, punk, hardcore, and early 90s alternative and grunge music. In the summer of 1995, I heard the music of Tortoise for the first time. It was their self-titled release from the previous year, released on a then-young Thrill Jockey label, also based in Chicago, with whom they'd go on to release the bulk of their catalog through. I heard these sounds that felt alien, otherworldly, brimming with electricity, but yet also feeling nostalgic and comforting, like it was already etched inside of me somehow. It felt familiar, but also totally far outside of anything I knew was even possible with music. The music fused repetitive hooks and melodies, juxtaposed with found sounds, field recordings, and minimal synthesis, centered around hypnotic drumming and bass motifs, often doled out in odd time signatures. It was effortless and restrained, simultaneously challenging and bizarrely alluring. Couldn't really find the words or thoughts to understand what I was hearing. From that point forward, I've been an avid follower and fan of Tortoise. I deem them integral into the way I think about music and sound, both as a listener, but also as a composer in regards to the music I create myself. The Chicago Tribune called Tortoise's sound mood music that refuses to be shoved into the background, as inviting as it is challenging. They've released 7 full-length albums and a lush mix of EPs, remixes, collaborations, and both 7 and 12-inch singles over their 30-plus year career. Tortoise has steadily and intuitively evolved across its life, creating genreless music that is as timeless as it is ahead of the curve. Their unique sound garnered them immediate reception and popularity, notably in Japan, where the group would regularly tour and release special versions of specific tracks and albums. Here are some of their vinyl releases in my own collection, moving through chronologically by release date. I also have a lot of their output on CD. As most artists who began their careers in the height of the CD boom of the 90s, you can still find titles in the catalog on CD with minimal effort through third-party markets. Thrill Jockey did some 20-year anniversary represses of their first few albums, but these, along with the original pressings, are becoming more rare as time moves on. Their visual aesthetic is deeply considered, always centered in sparse graphics assembled with ample amounts of negative space, with a deft emphasis on cohesion of color palette and striking typography. In the late 90s, I also picked up most of their 7-inch singles at various shows. I also have this counterpart 7-inch release from the 90s that unfolds and connects to create a larger image. One of the rare pieces of music-related memorabilia I have framed in my studio. The bulk of Tortoise's catalog was produced and engineered by drummer John McEntire at his Soma Studios in Chicago. In the spring of 2012, my group Balmorhea had the opportunity to record about half of the music for our album Stranger at Soma. Many of the instruments on that record are from John and Tortoise's own collection. As of the early 2020s, McEntire has relocated his Soma studio to Portland, Oregon, and continues to engineer and mix records for such artists as Stereolab, Will Oldham, Yola Tango, Wilco, and Spoon, among many others. This band's legacy greatly transcends its recorded output from the studio. Per the New York Times, while Tortoise's albums have experimented with the editing and overdubbing possibilities of the studio, the band thrives performing in real time, with Rolling Stone deeming Tortoise a live marvel. Their live footprint consists of a well-orchestrated but nebulous web of analog vintage synths, vibraphone, marimba, double drum kits, and a vast array of basses and auxiliary rigs placed around the stage. Each song often finds the members shifting positions, and each playing up to 4 or 5 instruments through the set. As a spectator, it's a captivating and impressive array of talent that all becomes immediately cohesive, a testament to the magical alchemy between these players and their innate musical connections and communication techniques. While Tortoise now tours very infrequently, I had the pleasure of seeing them play probably a dozen times since the late 90s, including a special anniversary performance of their album TNT at Pitchfork's Midwinter Festival at the Art Museum of Chicago in 2018, where they performed that classic album in its entirety. My group Balmorhea also got the chance to be their opening act once in Austin, Texas, and once at the Hopscotch Festival in Raleigh, North Carolina. Subsequently, we also had the honor of having Doug's group Brokeback play with us in Chicago many years ago at the famous Empty Bottle venue. Doug has remained a friend and also performed bass 6 on the track Mirror 5 on my Mirror Music release from 2024. Tortoise's music continues to hold its own niche within the instrumental contemporary space, each release intentionally moving the needle and pushing the envelope in all directions, whilst retaining and staying true to their sound. Tortoise defines the multi-hyphenate in genre and categorization, and it must be experienced and interpreted on an individual basis. Any spoken or written description or articulation of emotion within this music will do it little justice. For those who are already familiar, you know what a special sonic place they hold in the world. And for those who are new to this music, I highly recommend starting early in their career and moving forward, with their 1998 album TNT being a good starting place as a consensus for their timbre and tone. At the time of recording this video, in late April 2025, Tortoise has just announced a new album, their first in over 8 years, which will be released at some point in the near future on the heralded International Anthem label. You can find a transcription of this video, relevant links, and an exclusive playlist featuring a mix of tracks from across Tortoise's catalog on my Substack. Thanks for watching and see you soon.